Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fee Waiver Volunteer Training. This is Rebecca. I'm with the Florida Immigrant Coalition. Today, we're going to go over the general roles and procedures of the fee waiver, otherwise known as the I-912 form, application process for our fee waiver volunteers. In this webinar, we'll be talking about the different sections of the fee waiver and the reduced fee form, as well as the information necessary to accurately complete those sections. We'll also be guiding you through the two main methods that an applicant can take in order to apply for a fee waiver and the main method to apply for a reduced fee. Let's begin. In order to fill out a citizenship form, applicants must submit a fee of $725. Often, this fee is what keeps applicants from applying for citizenship. Helping an applicant submit a fee waiver offered through the U.S. Citizenship Immigration Services, otherwise known as USCIS, can reduce this cost by half or even completely. So some important things to note before filling out a form are the following. Firstly, there is no fee to file the request, and when filling it out, it is required to fill out using black ink. If the applicant does not bring the required documentation with them, we will not be able to complete the fee waiver with them. This means that they need to bring their most recent tax returns and proof of means-tested benefits, which we'll talk more about what that means later, and finally their proof of income. We also have a list of required documentation right in front of you: the green card, the license, the social security card number, and as said before, tax returns and proof of benefits. Now, applicants can be exempt from the $725 application fee in two main ways. Firstly, if they are current beneficiaries of means-tested benefits or based on their income. Although an applicant can qualify in more than one way, they only need to meet one to satisfy the fee waiver. However, it's beneficial and often preferred to qualify for means-tested versus income-based, as it requires less documentation and time. So means-tested benefits include food stamps, Medicaid, temporary assistance, or supplemental income. An extended list of what qualifies as means-tested benefits is listed later on. If the application is based on income, there are two ways to find out whether or not they qualify for full, reduced, or no fee waiver. The first way is to use a website shown, which is where you can visit and fill out the information per applicant. Here is how it looks like. As you can see, the website is from the New Americans Campaign. It reads, "Are you eligible for a fee waiver?" Its first question is asking you to identify whether or not you receive a government benefit. It's letting you know whether you're going to fill out means-tested benefit or income-based. If you write no, they're going to ask you more questions regarding specific aspects that are necessary to know whether or not you can qualify for income-based fee waiver. As you can see here, it tells you at the end whether or not you are likely for financial help. Continuing on, you can also use the current HHS poverty guidelines for the fee waiver request. You can see that there's a breakdown of household size in accordance with the 150% below poverty guidelines. If the selected amount is in the middle two columns, the applicant qualifies for either a fee waiver, no fee, it's free, or a reduced fee, where the price is cut in half by $405. There is a separate application for the reduced fee called the I-942. And if the applicant fulfills this type of category, that's the form you'll be filling out. If the applicant is eligible for reduced fee, they cannot, I repeat, cannot submit a fee waiver form. Instead, they will need to submit the reduced fee form or the I-942. This will be talked about in more detail ahead. If you qualify for a reduced fee, you must submit the reduced fee, $320, and the biometrics fee, $85, which totals to $405. If the applicant selects the far right column, they unfortunately do not qualify for a reduced fee waiver or a fee waiver and must pay $725 to the United States Department of Homeland Security. Let's take a look at the fee waiver form I-912. Now, If you're volunteering for a citizenship clinic that is either hosted or co-hosted by the Florida Immigrant Coalition, we would only be using the first two categories, that either the applicant receives means-tested benefits or their household income is at or below 150% of the federal poverty guideline. It is important to note that we do not work with the third category titled financial hardship. So let's try both examples. Let's begin with means-tested benefits. For the purpose of clarity, we'll be using pictures of the I-912 form that expires 3/31/2020. You can check the date your form is in the top right-hand corner of the first page. First, we'll go to part 1, which reads basis for your request. Here, we'll write the first box, which specifies that you are using a means-tested benefit as the basis of qualification. After you've selected it, we can proceed to part 2. Part 2 is information about the applicant. We'll fill out the applicant's last name, first name, middle name, and any other names they have used, including nicknames and aliases. For women who are married, we'll also include the maiden name. Then we'll put the alien number, the 9-digit USCIS number on their green card. You put it right here. As you can see, here is the green card, and in the middle, it's USCIS number. This can also be shown as alien number, but one of the best ways to know is that it is the only 9-digit number on the card. For the USCIS online account number, we'll leave that blank. Then we fill out the date of birth and the social security card number if they have one. And finally, the next page is the remaining of part 2, which is the marital status. Select the appropriate box. Part 3 is about the applications and petitions requesting a fee waiver. In this section, you will type who is the applicant requesting the fee waiver, their A number, their date of birth, their relationship to you. In terms of relationship to you section, self is the applicant themselves. In case they have any additional family members applying for citizenship, it is important to note that we fill out individual fee waiver forms for each applicant. As such, even if a family member is applying for naturalization at the same time, they will still need to fill out a separate form. In most cases, it's just the applicant. Therefore, at the bottom of the chart, where it says total numbers of forms, the box beside it would be 1. And under forms being filed, here we see that naturalization form is the N400. Part 4, titled Means-Tested Benefits, is where we will document which means-tested benefits they received, whether it's Medicaid, food stamps commonly known as SNAP, etc. First, we'll put the full name, relationship to you is self, the name of the agency awarding the benefit, and the type of benefit. Now, here is a list of some examples of benefits that allow an applicant to qualify. Medicaid, food stamps, temporary aid for needy families, supplemental security income, Social Security disability insurance, administration of developmental disabilities, and etc. Then they'll input the date the benefit was awarded and the date the benefit expires. For evidence, they need a letter, formally known as the award letter, from the agency that awards the benefit, indicating that the applicant is the current beneficiary and that the benefit hasn't expired yet. So, for example, here we see that the type of benefit is food stamp. We would need an award letter stating that this applicant, Luke Skywalker, is receiving a food stamp and that he is still currently receiving that food stamp. So it would say that it's sometime in between now and 12/31/2018 that he will still be receiving the food stamp. If he does not have this paper, he cannot qualify for means-tested benefit. So once we finish this section, you will need to fill out more further ahead. But for now, let's move on to the second example of how an applicant can qualify for a fee waiver. So this is for an applicant that wasn't able to qualify for means-tested benefits, but was able to qualify for income-based benefits. So first, we want to select part 2, that the household income is at or below 150% of the federal poverty guidelines. But before we do this, we need to make sure to use the income household guidelines provided by the station captain and shown earlier to determine if the applicant is eligible for the fee waiver. Remember that there is both a website and a guideline that can be used. So everything else stays the same. Even if we're filling out the waiver for means tested or income at or below, the difference is that you fill out part 5 instead of part 4. So you'll still fill out last name, first name, middle name, the same sections we covered earlier. We'll still fill out the applications and petitions. And since we're with the Florida Immigrant Coalition, we'll only fill out 1 fee waiver per person. But here's where it differs. Part 5. This part asks the employment status of the applicant. If they are unemployed, specify if they are currently receiving unemployment benefits. So this person is employed, and they're just saying once again that they are employed. Then fill out the applicant's information about the spouse if this applies. Afterwards, fill out the chart of how many folks live in the household. Usually, this is based on how many folks are listed in the latest income tax. So here we'll put the full name, date of birth, relationship to yourself, he's not married, whether or not they're a student, whether or not they earn income that goes towards the house, and the household size. Continuing on. Then we type the annual income based on the adjusted gross income, typically line 37 on the 1040 tax form. So this is the 1040 tax form, and you can tell because at the top you can read 1040 tax form. If we go down the paper towards the bottom half, you'll see that it says line 37. And if you look all the way on the right, it says 1754. This is the adjusted gross income, and this number is what we will write on line 5, 1754. If there are any other family members providing any sort of financial assistance in the household, or anyone who receives any sort of benefit in the form of alimony, retirement, income, child support, this should be added to line 6 and 7 of page 3. In his example, he doesn't have that. Lastly, add it to line 8 on page 4, and then in line 9, specify if anything has changed since the latest income tax. In this example, we put no, but if the applicant says yes and wishes to write more than what the area provides, section 11 offers more space for the applicant to input more information. If filling this section out, input last name, first name, middle name, a number, which we found in the green card in the middle, the page number that they want to add more explanation to, the part number that they want to add more explanation to, and the specific item number, as well as, of course, the explanation. If the applicant did not qualify for having means-tested benefits or having an income below 150% based on the poverty guidelines, they can still be eligible for a reduced fee waiver. In the federal poverty guidelines, there is a section for above 150%, but below 200%, which you see is circled here. This section qualifies the applicant for a reduced fee, but it is important to note that this is a completely different form titled the I-942 in comparison to the I-912. You can only help these applicants by filling out this form. So the I-912 versus the I-942. Some important differences between these two forms is that one allows an applicant to have no fee, the other to have the fee reduced. If an applicant qualifies for a reduced fee, they cannot fill out both the form for the reduced fee and for the removed fee. This form is exactly the same as filling out the fee waiver if you were looking at the section specifically for being below 150%. As such, follow the instructions used for that section and the upcoming instructions on how to sign and put in contact information and other information necessary. So, once we've completed either one or both of the main sections or the reduced fee form, we can move on to the following sections. Regardless of whichever route the applicant is taking to apply, either one or the other, these next sections are required for all applicants. But before we begin, here are some notes about what the language for the following sections means to you. You are the preparer, and the applicant you are helping fill out the form is the requester. If they don't speak English and you or someone they knew help to translate, You or that person is considered the interpreter. Finally, the organization that you're associated with is the Florida Immigrant Coalition. Let's begin. Part 7 covers the requester's statement, their contact information, certification, as well as their signature. If the applicant was able to understand English to fill out the form, select A. If they were helped with an interpreter, then select B and type the language the applicant was helped in. We then select the box indicating that there was a preparer and type your name. Afterwards, we input the requesters, aka the applicant's daytime telephone number under requester's contact information. They don't require you to input mobile telephone number and email address. All that's required is daytime telephone number. At the end of the section, in section 7, in line 6, under requester's signature, the applicant signs. We do not fill out family member signature because we do separate applications for each individual. For that same reason, part 8 will be skipped. Part 9 covers the interpreter's contact information, certification, as well as their signature if the applicant does not speak English and used an interpreter to fill out the form. In most cases, an interpreter is not needed to fill out the form, so we would leave this part blank. But in case that you may use or be an interpreter, this is how you fill out the form. If you're both preparing and interpreting, you also put the volunteer name and information under this section as well. If somebody else, like a family member, interpreted, input their information in this section. So you'll put that the person you're interpreting for is Luke Skywalker. You'll put either your name or the other interpreter's last name, your or the other interpreter's first name, the organization that you're associated with, and you'll put the organization's mailing address rather than your personal mailing address. It's listed here. This will also be given to you the day of the event in order to help you figure out how to fill out this form. Then you'll input the interpreter's telephone number and the certification that they were helping to interpret under this specific language, and then they'll sign in line 9. Finally, part 10 is a preparer's contact information, declaration, and signature. So for section 1, did any person prepare this request on your behalf? You write yes. For 2, was the preparer used for all individuals requesting a fee waiver? Also yes. In most cases, an applicant that doesn't speak English, the interpreter will be the same as the preparer. The preparer will type their last name, first name, and of course the organization, Florida Immigrant Coalition. They'll then put the Florida Immigrant Coalition's mailing address, which is the street number, the apartment number, the city number, the city, the state, zip code, and country. Then you'll put the preparer's contact information. The contact information listed here is a Florida Immigrant Coalition's phone number. Then under preparer's statement, you select A if you are a volunteer or a representative of Florida Immigrant Coalition that is not an attorney. And you select B if you are an attorney. In more cases than not, you will select A. Now, we can sign at the bottom and then go back and make sure that you didn't make any mistakes. Once everything is good, we cannot forget to sign the form. Here, I'm covering again part 11, which is additional information. We covered this earlier, but for purposes of clarity, here's the example once more. So these are the following places that require a signature. As you're signing, remember that all signatures must be done in black pen. The applicant signs at the end of part 7, and the interpreter signs at the end of part 9 only when applicable. Then the preparer signs at the end of part 10. Now we can go back one more time and make sure you didn't make any mistakes, miss any signature lines, and importantly, did not forget to add copies of the latest income tax and or W-2s or 1099s of the applicant as evidence. So now that you've filled out the form, or have at least learned how to fill the form, we've also prepared some questions that you may be receiving from the applicant as you're filling them out. So what if another family member receives the benefit? Does the applicant qualify? The applicant only qualifies if that family member is their spouse, or if the applicant themselves are unmarried, under 21 years old, and living with that parent. What if the applicant is scared for asking for government help? You just reassure them. You say that they shouldn't be scared, that they have the right to apply for the fee waiver. Will applying for the fee waiver delay their process? No. Whether or not you apply for the fee waiver, it will not affect their processing time. Does the award letter, can the award letter be in another language? No, it has to be in English. And if the family member is a beneficiary, can you use that letter? No, they have to be the current beneficiary of the government benefit to be able to qualify for the fee waiver. So thank you for watching and for volunteering your help. It's people like you that make a difference. Have a nice day.